Is the town meeting for Monday, April 1st. Happy Fool's Day, everybody. Roll call, please.
Bayane?
Here.
Casanello?
Here.
Morrison?
Here.
Schneider?
Here.
Ramirez?
Here.
Gallagher?
Okay, we'll get to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on the list, we got the invocation with Rizwan Jakal of the Dallas Area Muslim Society. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Town Council. Thank you, community members of Town of Haymarket. Thank you so much, Mayor, Town Council, and the community members of Town of Haymarket. We appreciate it very much, and all the staff and law enforcement. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you, my brothers and sisters in humanity. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. First, we wish our Christian brothers and sisters happy Easter. I hope everyone had a good Easter that celebrated, and also a good time of Lent as well. We as the Muslim community are now in the month of Ramadan. It started in March 10th, and it will end on April 9th. And then on April 10th will be the Eid al-Fitr holiday, celebrated by over 1.9 billion Muslims in the world, over 400,000 Virginian Muslims, and 4.3 million U.S. Muslims. We're fasting from dawn to sunset, increasing our faith, good deeds, and charity to help those in need. You know, it's another year, actually, of an amazing confluence of faithful holidays in this March-April timeframe. It's a blessing. As we know, as mentioned, Lent just concluded last week. Easter was on Sunday, you know, for the Christian community. The Hindu community last week actually celebrated the Holi festival as well. And a few weeks ago, the Persian and the Afghan community commemorated Nowruz, the New Year festival as well. In a few weeks, the Jewish community will be commemorating Passover as well. And then the Sikh community will be having the festival of Vaisakhi. And so just a blessing that, you know, that so many faithful traditions happening at the same time. And, you know, in this amazing time, tomorrow we'll be having an interfaith Ramadan iftar at a church. They invited us. 1.5 weeks ago, we were at Liberty University discussing Islam as a part of the world religion class. We had discussions on religious freedom and interfaith work during Ramadan and Lent. Additionally, last Friday, we had an over 20-year tradition for the Adams Scouting Ramadan Iftar. 10 days ago, we gathered together with the Department of Defense and had a Ramadan Iftar for American Muslims serving in the U.S. military and veterans as well. All these, again, beautiful traditions in the same time reminds us of the U.S. motto, E pluribus unum, out of many one. With that, I will begin with the prayer. Dear God, let our actions be full of compassion and peace for building a world in which our words, peace, salam, shalom, shanti, ring from every Christian church, Muslim mosque, Jewish synagogue, Hindu mandir, Sikh gurdwara, Buddhist temple, and Baha'i temple. We're reminded of the golden rule that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, none of us truly believes unless we wish for our brother and sister what we wish for ourselves. And it's a reminder as we are fasting in this holy month of Ramadan that God does not need our hunger. We empathize with those that do not have food, and we must become better people and better neighbors. We must remember to thank God for the blessings that we have. And we are reminded, to whom much is given, much is expected. We must remember our duty to God and our country, to help other people at all times, and to make the world a better place. We ask God to help us to stand for justice, as we are told to be upholders of justice. We ask God to help us to remember we believe in civil rights, religious freedom, and respect for all. We ask God to help us to stay true to the fact that there is no compulsion in faith or belief, and that we respect people of all faiths, people of no faith tradition, and people of all backgrounds. May God bless and guide our town of Haymarket, the mayor, the town council, the staff, law enforcement, the Virginia National Guard, the U.S. military, and all their families. May God guide them and us to do the best we can for Haymarket, Virginia, and for America. We appreciate all their leadership and sacrifice for the public good. May God bless the Commonwealth of Virginia. May God bless the United States of America, and may God bless the world. Amen. Peace be with you.
Inshallah.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is our proclamation for Child Abuse Awareness Month. I'll leave it to our community liaison to...
Thank you. All right, so a proclamation to observe April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas our children are our most valuable resource and are vital to our future success, prosperity, and quality of life. They are also the most vulnerable members of our society. And whereas child abuse is a community problem and finding solutions depends on the environment of the people throughout the community. And whereas all children deserve to have a safe, stable, nurturing homes and communities they need to foster their healthy growth and development. And whereas the most important thing we can do to help children thrive is to support families before they reach a crisis. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities and training succeed because the partnerships created among individuals and families, healthcare professionals, schools, community and civic organizations, faith-based organizations, businesses, and law enforcement agencies. And whereas the Town of Haymarket Town Council acknowledges that we must all work together to increase awareness about child abuse and create safe and healthy environments for children where they can live with supportive families and engaged communities. Now, therefore, the Town Council of the Town of Haymarket, Virginia, does hereby proclaim April 2024 as Child Abuse Prevention Month and urges all citizens to recognize this month by dedicating ourselves to the task of improving the quality of life for all children and families. In witness thereof, this first day of April 2024.
All right. So we
Get
have
to shake hands, take pictures.
take hands, take pictures. Any comments that we want to give to the ladies?
Of course. Thank you so much to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, this evening for your recognition and proclamation. Can you hear me? I'm sure you can. At any rate, we recognize that this is a very concerning problem in our community. It is something that is not getting better, sadly. The statistics show that since in 2021, we had over 3,000 cases of suspected child abuse in the county. And in fiscal year 2022, that number had increased to over 5,000. So we have a lot of work to do. We all know the exigencies that have been put upon us by and the community by the effects of COVID and loss of jobs and other things that have resulted from that. And many of those factors really do contribute and have contributed to the increase in child abuse. So we thank you. We thank you for letting us make our display across the street of our wonderful pinwheels, and we hope you enjoy that. We hope that the community will be, how shall I say, engaged by driving past. Not to engage that the police have to get involved with accidents or whatever, but engaged enough to realize that that hey, this is important. I need to pay attention, and because we thank you. We want to say thank you in a special way to you. We got each of you, or we'd like to present each of you with an Every Child Matters lapel pin. It says on here, it's everyone's job to ensure that children are safe. Wear this pin with pride and to show that you believe that every child matters and deserves to be free from abuse. So if I may go up and give you these.
Come on up.
Thank you.
Should I take a picture?
Yep. And we'll also do a photo op.
So much. for us, and the recognition. We really appreciate that. You're welcome. You're very welcome.
Grab one for me. Grab one for me.
Did you get the photo?
Yeah, you can go up there. They're gonna give you
I'll wear it on my lanyard.
a smile and so.
Okay, we'll just
Too
smile.
bad you couldn't do it in front of the screen.
All right, right there.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Great. Thank you.
And you did cut it off right here.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I get to add. Okay, now we get to open up the public hearing for ordinance 2024-001, the mobile food establishment. If you could read in the public notice, we'll start it off.
Notice is hereby given that the Town of Haymarket Town Council will hold a public hearing on Monday, April 1st, 2024 at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter as may be heard at the Haymarket Town Hall located at 15,000 Washington Street, Suite 100, Haymarket, Virginia, to receive public comment on proposed ordinance number 2024-001, an ordinance to consider amending the town code to add mobile food establishment and associated fees to the Haymarket Town Code, Chapter 14, Section 14-1. A full copy of the proposed ordinance is available upon request or is available for review at the office of the town clerk at 15,000 Washington Street, Suite 100, Haymarket, Virginia 20169, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. The public hearing will be held in a public facility accessible to persons with disabilities. Any person with questions on the accessibility of the facility or requesting special accommodations for a disability may contact the town clerk at 703-753-2600, extension 205. If you wish to comment but cannot attend the public hearing, please send your comments to Deputy Clerk Alexandra Ellswick by April 1st, 2024 at 4 p.m. via email aelswick@townofhaymarket.org or via mail 15,000 Washington Street, Suite 100, Haymarket, Virginia 20169.
Okay, so I guess we'll start off with, thank you. I guess we'll start off with public comment. Do we have any citizens' comments out there? Anybody? Nope. Any emails? So no comments. Okay. So I guess we'll close up this meeting and continue with the regular meeting. So we're here for citizens' time for the regular town session now. Any emails? Any public, anybody in the audience who wants to handle our regular meeting? Okay, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Do I have anybody who wants to pull anything out?
Hi. May we pull the community liaison report, please? I have an update to add.
Okay.
Town administration and chief of police report.
Anything from you, Joe?
Yeah, I have one question on the town engineer's report. Can that be handled through the town admin, Emily?
Yes.
So we'll.
Okay, Then if I can have a motion to close up what's not being open.
Mr. Mayor, I move that town council approve consent agenda items A 1 through 4, B 2, 4, and 5, and C 1, 2, 4, and 5.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then we'll move on to the town administration report. Who has questions for that?
I have a question.
Okay, Alexander.
Emily, regarding the Crossroads Arts Alliance,
Yes.
how's that going in terms of expense revenue? Any?
We've had no expenses.
Okay. This is for the museum, right?
Yep.
We have-
Other than our general
General.
utility expenses that we pay monthly to keep the space, heat, cool, water. Other than that, we've had no other
Is
expenses.
that still trending down, trending up? Any?
It's, I can pull a report and we can look at it, but since we talked last about a month ago, everything's still trending normal.
Okay. And in terms of our arrangement with the Arts Alliance, I'm trying to understand the revenue sharing part, right? So I believe they keep 75% goes to the artist, what have you. So they keep 15%. The rest goes to us, the 15%. So is there a limitation on what type of events they can host within the museum?
So right now, how we have it structured is that they can do any type of classes where they have an artist come in and do teaching. They can have, if they wanted to have an open mic night, they can do that. We have set hours that we ask them not to go beyond in the evening so that it's not open all night long. Same thing within the morning. We don't want them at 3 a.m. in there. But general, gallery exhibits, open houses, open paint day where they invite people in. But most of their classes are all taking part during the daytime, and they're taught by somebody who is on their board. So if they want to teach a class, they have to be a member of the group so that there's some buy-in into it.
So there will not be the host or hosting an event where the Alliance is keeping 85% of the revenue and the rest goes to us, right? It's always 75% goes to the artist, what have you, and then.
I actually have a meeting with them tomorrow. I can clarify with them if they have any events where 85% of it would be staying with the Alliance. But I would have to ask them what scenarios that would occur.
Okay, if you could.
'Cause,
please,
yeah,
I appreciate
I'll ask
that.
them tomorrow.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, anybody else with the administration report?
While we're on the topic, I noticed something that I had underlined that I didn't feel was impertinent, but for the personnel manual meeting, it still has Chris M. listed on there.
Oh,
Just a heads up. Seeing as
he's just always
former
there.
Councilman Morris has moved away and
Yep,
he
we
no
can
longer
take care of that.
participates. And then I also wanted to talk about the light poles. Could you enlighten council and the public as to what that means for us, what's happened?
Yes, I can enlighten everyone on the light poles. So Matt has been working extremely hard on our town streetscape. What we have recently worked on, I'm going to add more to what's just right here. What we've recently worked on is some modifications of our light poles to go into a staggered banner flagpole kind of system. So you're going to see that change. You're going to see the addition of 7 new flower baskets going up this spring. In the next coming weeks, those are going to go down towards Giuseppe's. So we're extending that program. Matt has worked diligently with Sublet Services to ensure that all of the lights are working. Back in December, right before our Christmas event, we had an issue where a strip of our lights on Washington Street went out, and we had to call in some of the utility companies, get everything squared away there, to get those right there near Haymarket Station back up and running. We are still trying to figure out why they're on 24/7 because we're having an issue with our photo cell, so that is a work in progress. The parts that he's mentioned here with the issue on Blight Drive. So when Verizon came in some time ago, did work on Blight Drive, they, without good reason, spliced through our lines that ran under the road. We were able to get a hold of Lambert. They came out, they did admit that yes, this was done, and they're going to take care of the cost, but we have had to get that rewired and able to work again to light the lights that go back in that little half cul-de-sac on Blight Drive. So that is in process, getting finalized, and hopefully our reimbursement will be complete here soon as well.
Thank you. I appreciate having Matt available to find all of these things and to help ensure that they are addressed quickly. I think that if this had gone unnoticed for some time, we would not be getting the result that we are now. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
I agree. I will also add, Matt has identified several poles that need to be immediately replaced. We have two that are in worse condition than others. He's working on a long-term maintenance plan of phasing out some of our older poles and replacing with new. And then more recently, he's been able to get us numbers on the lanterns that also need replacing so that we don't have yellowed brown lanterns.
Okay. Any other comments? You got something for the administrative report, Joe?
Yes, but I did have one question about packet page 15. I thought maybe Emily would kind of elaborate a little bit about the GoGov app first.
Yes. So very exciting. I've worked with Tracy Lynn on this and had some discussions on how we can better our communications. And so I recently was in a meeting with the town of Dumfries town manager and received very glowing remarks about the GoGov app that we had been looking into and researching. So we are officially in a trial period, if you will. So it's a 1-year contract of it. We can choose to cancel if it's not going well, but we did a kickoff meeting today with the app, and this is something where I will be back to you guys if everything gets completed the way it should on May 6th with a presentation, and bring your phones ready to download the app. We're going to have a real-time example of how it works, but it's a platform our residents, businesses, community members can all download. They can choose to subscribe to certain messaging that comes only through the app, and they can get certain notifications, whether it be on events or chief puts out a road closure notice, or our trash, maybe we put out that the holiday schedule's altered, so your trash is going to be picked up a day later. So it's a great platform to get the information we want out there in a quicker manner to the device that we are always looking at. So we kicked that off today, Joe. We have a very rigorous program and timeline to go live by May 6th. Ideally, we're going to go live by May 3rd, but May 6th is our hopeful date.
Great, thank you. My question regarding the engineer's report is...
Real quick, Joe, I just wanted one quick announcement on the admin report. I just wanted to congratulate Alexandra on 1 full year here at the town. So she's worked very hard. She had her work anniversary last week, so we're very proud of everything she's done and everything she's brought to our team. So congratulations.
Thank you, Alex.
Okay, Joe, take it away on the engineering report.
Well, congratulations, Alexandra. Packet page 45. I just thought maybe you could give us a little update relative to the Nova Haymarket Hotel. And one of the questions I've been thinking about is I know there's an SUP for that property. Do you have any sense yet of how many floors they're proposing?
Yeah, so the Nova Haymarket Hotel, that's the hotel application that is slated for Crossroads Village Center to be in the original location of the proposed hotel from the 2019 plan. So that runs along the exit ramp area onto I-66. The SUP did allow for them to go in excess of 65 feet. I believe it might have even gone up to 75. The current application we have in front of us is a preliminary site plan application, and they are proposing to do a 5-story hotel based on my last discussion with Thomas and Katie. They will be submitting their final site plan here shortly, so we will ensure that that's not been modified, and I will make sure they report that back in detail for next month's report.
Okay, yeah, and the other question I had was related to timing. If in fact they get all the approvals and they're ready to go forward, when do we think they'll be, I guess, breaking ground, and then when they might be operational? But that's probably too preliminary at this point.
I think it's too preliminary at this point. Their final site plan, one of the concerns we have is a stormwater easement we need to work through that area. So we're looking at a minimum of 3 months on that just for some site plan review discussions. So I can get you a better estimate, but I wouldn't think that we're going to construction before the fall at the earliest. They would still need to go through full building permitting. I do know when our previous hotel went through building permitting, that did take some time.
Okay, all right. I guess we'll be talking about that as the year progresses.
Yes, it's definitely a FY25, later in FY25 when that would come online, if at all. It might be FY26 when it actually comes online and they have their first guest.
Okay, thank you.
Marshawn?
I did think of a question I want to talk about. So the sidewalk, the part sidewalk, estimated when they might break ground or when you started on that?
So I wish I had a better answer for you. Our contractor for the design phase of it just emailed us the transmission document of the crosswalk study that was submitted to VDOT. I will say that we were under the impression it was submitted at the beginning of March, and we just got the transmittal notice that it was done last week. So I have a follow-up with them this week on moving this along, getting the crosswalk study done. They're still waiting mainly on VDOT for outside agency approvals.
So our original estimate was April. We're probably looking like we have to shift to May or later.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Anyone else? Okay. Normally I'd do this behind the scenes, but I wanted to make it visible to the citizens because of just the concept, which I'll bring up later. But the multi-purpose path up Jefferson Street, are we keeping an eye on that? Because there's a nice little sinkhole, pothole that needs to be maintained.
Effective today. Good news, it's filled. Yes, we are keeping an eye on it. We are maintaining it. Matt submitted it to Prince William County Service Authority to have them come out. When they did work on it is when the sinkhole or small divot area developed. So he submitted it for a work request. However, I guess by good luck, VDOT came out today to do some pothole repair because we also have been on VDOT about how bad Jefferson Street is on the edge of our property, and it's now bleeding into their areas. So they came out, they paved into our gravel lot some to help us avoid that pothole issue. And then while they were there, they saw the issue on the shared use path and they went ahead and patched that as well. So it was a good day.
That's good. And my reasoning for making this visible is strictly to tell all town members that our staff does its best to keep an eye on town, but any feedback on these type of issues helps them manage it better.
That will be a wonderful function of our GoGov app that we'll have, is we can put together an option that if a citizen or business owner, somebody were to see something, they could report it through us. I know we don't maintain a lot of our public infrastructure, however, we could get it to the right ears. So they could submit pictures, words, et cetera, all through the app.
Okay. Without any more questions, we'll go on to the Chief of Police report.
Yes, Chief. What's the difference between reportable calls and non-reportable calls?
A reportable call would be something that we would be mandated reporting. So a larceny would be a reportable call, or a burglary, but a non-reportable call for service might be an alarm call where nothing happened, or a citizen help, something we get called for that's not reportable to IBR or NIBRS.
So when looking at these, most of these calls seem to be non-reportable.
Correct.
So what is the takeaway? Again, I don't have a whole lot of experience in law enforcement, so what is the key takeaway here based on what I'm seeing here? Meaning the crimes or the things that our officers are responding to are not a higher level of...
Well, they're not to a level that mandates reporting to the state police, nor toward NIBRS and the FBI. So like if say you got locked out of your house and you called the police to help you, well, then obviously we're not going to write an IBR report to submit that to state police because no crime's been committed. But where a crime has been committed, then we would write a IBR report and send that to the state police. Whether we solve the crime or not, it still gets reported to the state police that the crime happened. And then there is other reports that get generated even though it's not submitted to the state police. So the in-between ground would be, say that you owned a business here in town and you found drugs on the premises. We would respond there. We would take the drugs. Obviously, we're not going to know who did it unless we can pull video or where the drugs came from, but we would still write a report to track that evidence, to track that it was put into the evidence room and then it was properly destroyed. So a report would be generated, but there would be no submission to the state police.
Okay. So looking at this reporting period, it looks like there were a total of 47 dispatch calls for service.
Correct.
This means
47.
Somebody called 911 or requested service? Is that
Correct.
What that means?
Mm-hmm.
And out of those, 36 were non-reportable, meaning they were not, at the end of the day, they were not crimes? Or
they were not crimes. It was an offense, or it was an issue that we had to deal with that was called a call for service. When you look at the weekly breakdown, it could be a trespassing or to trespass somebody from the property, like was in the recent report. In that case, actually, a crime had been committed, and I'll go ahead and kind of educate you on that. You'll see in there also called what we are classifying as deferments. So a crime had been committed. A lady had stolen something from the local Sheets. The Sheets did not wish to prosecute. They just wished for her to pay for it. She was still found on the premises, but they wanted her trespassed. So we allowed her, the Sheets allowed her to pay for what she had stole, and then we trespassed her from the establishment, so where she can't come back no more. If she does, then it is a crime. So yes, there was a crime, but no, it's not going to be reported because there was a deferment, but we still generated a report to track the trespass and the fact that we had an interaction with her.
Okay. So again, hopefully when I make these assumptions, please feel free to correct me. So during the entire month from February 15th through March 14th, out of the 47 dispatch calls, only about 11 were related to a crime.
Well, specifically, we'll say 8.
Okay.
Because the other deferments were a crime as well, but I don't recall exactly what they were. I just remember that one because I sent it in the report, your weekly report, just yesterday.
Okay. And looking at some of these trends here, definitely there was a uptick when comparing 2022 and 2023, but looking at the trend this year, it seems like some of these are trending down. Do you agree?
They're trending in the middle. They're still above 2022,
yes,
but they're below 2023. Okay. So I can't say they're trending down. If you can say if you want to compare to 2023, yeah. But again, trends change, and you just don't know.
And in the report that you sent to us, I think you indicated that the cases that our officers are facing seem to be more complex in comparison to the past. Is that correct?
Correct.
Just curious, what is, in your opinion or based on facts, what is resulting in more complex criminal activities or activities within the town in comparison to the past?
Well, keep in mind, a complex call does not indicate a criminal activity.
Okay.
As you've seen in a recent report, we responded to a veteran who was suffering PTSD, which took a few hours to deal with. This situation was de-escalated by the officer, and the subject got the help that he needed without any further ado. So it wasn't a crime, but the complexity of the call was still at a high level, the de-escalation, and then having to deal with the ECO, TDO that followed, which ultimately ended up being volunteer, but still we got him to the place that he needed to be. So keep in mind, when you look at a high complexity call, it doesn't necessarily indicate that a crime was committed. So as far as to the trend, more transient behavior, more people passing through town, you're going to have more of those behaviors, no matter where they're at on the level, from the lady who stole something, well, semi-minute, to the person who would actually come here for a more heinous crime, or a larceny, or to burglarize an establishment. But we're fortunate that we're still in that mid-range. We're not looking at the larger crime or the larger criminal aspect of things, such as burglaries, grand larcenies. Now, petty thefts can turn into that, as you've seen from one of the reports, where we had objects being stolen from vehicles that they actually tried to steal the vehicle. So now we're escalating in that trend. As far as one specific thing to put my finger on, when you do have a mixed-use parcel where there's commercial businesses and residences, you do see a crime uptick in those areas. And before you were on council, I delivered a peer-reviewed paper on that aspect, that we were going to be looking at that. It wasn't a paper that I wrote, it was just a paper that I referenced. So that could be part of the trend as well. And then we do have a lot of transient coming through for business, for gas, for stops at the local restaurants. And with that comes those problems.
Okay. Then looking at the average response time report, looks like we were 2.5 minutes last month.
Correct. And keeping track on that, as you had asked, actually, to keep track on that, that doesn't reflect that the 4 calls that we were unable to answer, because obviously there's no response time. But I have spoke to Councilman Passanello, and we are putting some metrics in place to track calls that we cannot respond to, calls that are responded to by an outside agency and fully answered by that agency, and then also how much time they are spending on that call when they're inside the town.
So at times you're, in terms of, staying in line in terms of your response time, looking at it historically speaking, are you facing any challenges with keeping this fast response time?
When you look at the numbers that the officers send to me, and to answer your question, fortunately, we are offsetting some of the longer response times with short response times. Since I'm giving you an average of the whole month, and we are offsetting it. So there is times where our response times is outside the 5 minutes that we're wanting to keep. But there's also times where we're responding there in less than a minute because that officer is available. So yes and no is the answer to your question. There is times where we have problems doing that. And then if you attribute the other times where we cannot respond to calls, and once we start tracking that data will be played out as well. But right now we're still staying in the 2 minute to 3 minute range, which is where we hope to stay ultimately.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Mary?
So Chief, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. Did you say that the calls for service data points that are on your report, they do not reflect the concept, if you will, that there were calls this month not answered?
No, because we were not specifically tracking that data. We were tracking the data of our response time.
Okay.
So when an outside agency, Prince William, would respond to a call in lieu of our officer doing it, we were not tracking that other than the fact that there was a backup.
Okay.
We weren't tracking the difference between that officer backing our officer up on a traffic stop or that officer actually responding to a call without our officer present.
Okay.
But moving forward, we are going to track that data.
So our guys are working hard. Like, you can see that in the calls for service. You can see that in your weekly reports you're sending out. And I would hate to be one of the calls not answered. I don't think anyone in our town wants to have their call go unanswered. And I think that the fact that there were 4 this month says a lot. So even though you're not tracking that yet, that like actually truly genuinely scares me that like we're that busy, and I don't want that to happen. So I appreciate your transparency here and your candor and your leadership.
I appreciate it. I will also offer that, I take my job that you all have appointed me to do seriously. And it was concerning me that our traffic summonses and our vehicle stops were reduced last month because of issues like this, the previous month. So I actually was using some part-time hours and some OT select to put extra officers on the road this last month to making sure that we are keeping Haymarket a pedestrian-friendly town while still responding to our calls. So we're doing the things that's within our budget and what we can do right now to keep these things where we need to be. So I am doing the things that we can do to offset.
And I do want to say I saw a huge presence last week, even with the cars sitting outside of the church.
No worries.
I won't snitch on you.
I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Marchand? Hey, Joe, do you have anything?
No, not tonight.
Okay, Marchand?
Chief, it's unfair to ask you this in person, so I'll do it offline, but there's a lot of statistics that you're being asked to keep track of, so I'm just making sure we're getting utility for the amount of data that you're being asked to track. So I'll follow up with you later about that, but I am concerned that we work at counter purposes with the amount of statistics. It's great, I think, for the budget discussion that we're having this year. It's transparency and able to provide the backstop, but I am worried about the man hours needed to track all these data points. So I'll follow up with you. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on then. We got the Community Relations Liaison Report.
Thank you. I did want to update my memo to include that I had also met with the Chief of Police in regards to the open house that I am planning on, or myself and staff and Vice Mayor are working towards for June 14th, just to get a proper understanding of what staffing may need to happen in order to support that, so I can bring that to council for discussion at the next work session. And that was it.
Okay, any questions for Mary? Okay, then if I can have a motion to close out these items.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the Haymarket Town Council adopt consent agenda items B1, 3, and C3.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, move on to the agenda items. Ordinance 2024-001.
Okay. Are there any follow-up questions from our work session last week on the ordinance that we want to address? Olan is here tonight so we can talk about the appeal process or the restrictions, and going back and reading Alexandria's, which is one of the examples we had utilized. What they did is they allowed for, prior to the suspension or the revocation of the permit, The city manager notified in writing that they would be suspended. This notice was mailed, and in that notice, it gave them the option for a written request for a hearing to be filed with the manager by the applicant or the permit holder within 10 business days of the date the notice is mailed. If no request for a hearing is filed within these 10 business days, the application of the permit shall be suspended or revoked by order of the city manager, and the suspension shall be final. That was the language that we had in there previously, and it was questioned who would make up the appeal board. When I went back and read it, as well as the other two sections here, it sounds like it is truly just the city manager who is the body that does the hearing. And it's not, in how I'm reading it, Olan, jump in as necessary. How I was reading it is that it's not an appeal after the fact. It's an appeal to come in and state your case prior to the action being final.
Oh, okay.
So if we wanted an appeal type of process, or we wanted them to have some sort of a say, this seemed like a good option to let them come in, say their piece, give us their reasoning, and then it says here the city manager shall issue his determination in writing to grant or deny the appeal within 10 business days of the conclusion of the hearing. So if you want them to have a chance, maybe this is a good route. Again, there are things we can trial, and we can come back and see how did this work for us over the last 6 months or a year.
Right. You know,
Go ahead, Joe. You're the one who had concerns on this piece.
yeah, no, and I appreciate that. My concern, and Olan probably will appreciate this, is the person making the decision shouldn't be the appealable body. I think there's some kind of a conflict there, but you explained it in such a way that what they're essentially doing, once they've gotten notification that they can come in and make their case, maybe there's some mitigating circumstances or some other information you're not aware of, but it's still going to be the decision of the town manager, period. Yes or no? Right. I got it. Okay, that works for me. My only other question, and Emily, you and I think we talked about it last time, was, is this a 3 strikes and you're out kind of a thing, policy? You know, is there a duration for somebody would be suspended or revoked? That would be the only other question I might have.
Right, and for the rest of the council, what I had shared with Joe is my initial thought is if somebody's come into the town to do business here and they have violated the ordinance 3 times and required 3 different notifications of a violation, at that point, is this a business we want to continue welcoming back to the town? Or is this somebody we would like to let them pursue other efforts in other locations? I did not find that this would be somebody we want to continue to invite back. If they're already violating the ordinance set in front of them and they can't respect the rules in place for everybody, then this is not necessarily a business we would like to continue entertaining. So those were my thoughts on it.
I concur for what it's worth.
We're going to vote on this?
Yes. I know you weren't asking
Okay,
me.
any more questions before we vote?
Real quick, if you want to keep the language that I read out tonight, then I will just revert back to what we had. Originally, we had struck it from here. It was all fully discussed. It was all fully out there prior to the public hearing, so we're good on the notice. But I'll put that back in there from our discussion tonight.
Okay. Do I need a motion on this?
Yes, please, and a roll call vote.
Yes.
And it can be a I move and then just read out our ordinance number. Ordinance number 2024-001, mobile food establishment.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Joe.
I move the Haymarket Town Council adopt ordinance number 2024-001, mobile food establishment.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Diana,
No.
Castello,
Aye.
Peter, absent. Snyder,
Yes.
Ramirez,
Yes.
and Gallagher is absent.
Okay,
Motion passes.
motion passes. Doesn't need my input.
Thank you.
I get to stay out of the scene on this one. Okay,
Good job, staff. Thanks for getting this done.
yeah, thank you. Move on to Resolution 2024, the budget amendment. Please give us a brief description of it so people who haven't been following in the past understand what we're addressing tonight.
Of course, Mayor. So this budget, we had this discussion last week. It is basically to address the appropriation of the grant the chief applied for after we had adopted the budget for 2024. He had applied for a DCJS grant. He has been awarded the grant, and now we just want to amend it so he is able to expenditure that line item, which will be police supplies and uniforms, I believe.
Yes.
Correct. So the 12,000 that you see there, because it is 12,000, the amendment doesn't require a public hearing because it's under the 1% of the overall budget. I don't know if there's any other specific questions. I feel like we discussed it last week, or if you have questions for Chief on it.
Yep, round of discussion, if anybody needs it. Anybody need it?
I'll make a motion.
Please do.
Mr. Mayor, I move the Haymarket Town Council adopt Resolution 2024-002, fiscal year 2023-2024 budget amendment.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Since this is money, roll call, please.
Diana,
Aye.
Castello,
Aye.
Peters, absent. Schneider,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Yes.
Gallagher is absent.
Okay. Next item on the list, closed session. Hopefully somebody prepared something for this. Did we get that prepared, Alex?
Can we one switch over Chief wanted to introduce our new officer and then we'll go to closed session?
Oh, okay. If there's no objection, we will add this to the line item agenda.
This is Officer Matt Watson. If you haven't had a chance to meet him yet, Matt has been around law enforcement for how many years, Matt?
24?
24 years. Great asset to the department. He's a part-time, going to be a part-time employee.
I started when I was 12.
Yeah, I started when he was 12. And he's finishing up his FTO now. Be a great asset to our office. But he came on his own tonight, just wanted to watch the goings-on. Really class act here. Great guy.
All right.
This is a short meeting, so you're
Welcome
lucky.
aboard.
Welcome.
Welcome.
I can't see him, but welcome.
Gotta turn the webcam, Roberto.
Roberto says, I don't think so. I'm not the IT tech in the. Okay, did you prep? Yes. Who's got that then? Okay, hold on.
Let's see. I move that town council go into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.237A8 for consultation with legal counsel regarding a specific legal matter requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel relating to 14801 Washington Street in the town of Haymarket.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go into closed session.
That's why we got the A team here tonight. Okay.
Move the council certify that in closed session just concluded, nothing was discussed except the matter or matters specifically identified in the motion to convene in closed session and lawfully permitted to be discussed in a closed session under the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as cited in that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Let's go around the table.
Bayene,
Aye.
Casanello,
Aye.
Peters, absent, Lorson,
Aye.
Schneider,
Yes.
Ramirez,
Yes.
Gallagher's out.
Okay, there was no activity that's required to be brought out and addressed to staffing, so as directed, right? Let me find my agenda sheet. Too many papers here. Here we go. So that leaves us to council member time.
I think I'm out of rotation here. I somehow got first.
We try to mix it up so
You're
that
fine.
nobody's always
You're
first and
fine.
nobody's always
I'm
last.
teasing.
Well, I'm always last, but
Something I just thought about is that I forecast within the next 6 to 10 months, we're going to see a significant change in how people are looking at the town and potential investments in the town. And I think this council and the previous two council before the seating council, we've dealt more with personnel issues. We've not dealt with a lot of land use issues. So I see us quickly moving to that direction. So just as you know, I certainly encourage the council to be deliberate about the house. I think we're going to need to be deliberate about how we approach future land use in the town, especially as a lot of these properties start coming in for reinvestment. We've already starting to plan for the parking garage. We've already made some other steps to put investments in, but I do feel like we probably need to start getting our tools in order so that we are well positioned to start evaluating these proposals as they come in. So other than that, the weather is getting warm, starting to see a lot more people out walking around, and everyone stay safe. Appreciate the police enforcing the pedestrian aspect and having a presence out there. I see you guys, especially during school hours. Appreciate the police supporting that. So that's all I have. Thanks.
okay. Next on the list, Council Member Ramirez.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to highlight how personal it felt that we acknowledged April as the Child Abuse Awareness Month, working with children every day. I can attest to that every child matters and that they all deserve a safe and healthy home and environment and community. And I think that we are incredibly blessed here in Haymarket to have such a tight-knit community, and I feel really honored to be a part of that. I look forward to all the community events that I'm planning with staff and Vice Mayor. I really hope that council participates, not just up here and supporting it, but also getting out there and meeting our youth, meeting our families, meeting our residents and businesses, so that way we can continue a healthy environment for everybody. I do want to say, kind of to Marchant's point, our community has been growing, and we knew it's going to be growing since before I took office. And I really, really hope that anybody listening, anybody participating in these conversations, if there's questions or concerns or things that are important to you that you feel need to be addressed, please come to Town Hall, talk to staff, email those of us on the dais, come to meetings. If there's a specific topic, I'm sure our clerk would be happy to retrieve any archives of discussions that we've had before to ensure that you're fully aware of topics discussed and concerns that were raised, so that way we can further the conversation down the line instead of rehashing and revisiting all of these things. Participation equals progress, and progress, I think, is the best for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Biene.
Mary, I think this is mostly for the town staff. Since I've been here, I know most of the time I'll push back. I have questions in regards to finances, right? So that you understand where I'm coming from. Personally, I tend to be conservative when it comes to finances, right? And when a budget is, in this budget proposing, again, this is nothing against the police department or your chief, right? But when somebody, an organization within the town is proposing an increase of about 30% in comparison to last fiscal year, someone in my position as a council member, right, I'm obligated, I think, right, to kind of push back, rationalize things, right, figure out whether or not it's justified, right. It's nothing against you again, because my responsibility, my position demands it, right. Okay, and again, it's not something that. In terms of fiscal responsibility, it's not something that I started thinking about once I became a town council member. As most of you know, I was a write-in candidate back a year and a half ago, right? Looking at the goals, things that were being passed out to the town residents, some of the goals I outlined here are be more attentive and prioritize the needs and wants of town residents, cut or eliminate costs and minimize tax burden, right? Sound fiscal and budget policies, open, transparent government, and safety and outreach. And again, when I say safety and outreach, I'm being serious. Someone who doesn't know me might think that I've been asking you some questions in relation to your practices, all the way going back to your take-home policy, right? I had some, to this date, I have some challenges with that, to be honest, right? And again, this is not something, that I just decided to be a fiscal conservative, right? I've been like this. It's in my nature to be like this. But again, when somebody is proposing increasing a budget by 30%, by what have you, it is my responsibility to push back, to justify, right? It's nothing personal against you or Roberto against you, right? I'm taking my responsibility as a town council member in terms of fiscal responsibility seriously, right? That's why. Okay, I could have taken the easy road and just went along with everybody and not said anything. And some might have taken that approach as well, but that's not who I am, right? I find it, difficult. The town's money is my money, is your money, everyone's money, right? I'm not saying that some of you find it easy to spend other people's money. I don't find that. It weighs heavily on me, right? So I just wanted to clarify that. So again, don't take it personal. This is, in my opinion, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Passanello, your turn.
Okay, and thank you, Councilmember Bayene, for your comments. Much appreciated. Keep doing what you're doing. At the end of the day, we vote and then we move on. So I appreciate where you're coming from. I just want to make a couple announcements very quickly. This being April, the first thing, in line with the theme about children, I'd like people to be aware that Adolescent and Young Adult Week for Cancer is this week. There's over 70,000 adolescents and young adults ages 15 to up to 39, believe it or not, who are diagnosed with cancer. Part of the issue with that, especially for the adolescent types, is a lot of what's happening with their bodies can be confused with natural growth. So we have to be well aware of some of those changes that are happening and be observant and stay on top of that. So there's plenty of information out there. Just Google AYA or adolescent and young adult cancers, and there's a lot of helpful information there for our kids in our community. The other thing is this is a national month of the military child, and I just wanted to read an excerpt from Sarah Ford, Executive Director of the serve our willing warriors, if I may, very quickly. Military children are resilient and selfless. They feel the effect of being mission ready, where the family's personal needs come second to the nation's needs. They must adapt and overcome as they grow up with constant change. It can be demanding lifestyle, but they learn to be self-reliant and independent, skills that will serve them well throughout their lives. I just think it's important that we take note of that, because we are a community of not only law enforcement and service folks, but we have a number of military families in our community, and we need to be aware and to applaud them. And finally, I just want people to know that if you're interested, get a hold of me on April 6th at the museum. We're going to be holding a Meet the Candidate. Dan Helmer will be here in town to meet with folks from 10 a.m. to noon. And if anybody has any interest, please contact me directly and I'll give them the information they need. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Now it looks like I'm up. Okay. We became aware this week of the passing of Dottie Leonard. Dottie was a large contributor to the town over the past 20 years. I would like to recognize her efforts in molding the town into the shape that and direction that it's been going in. She was a prominent spokesperson in getting ARB in place and putting a historic overlay onto the town. I would just like to thank her for her efforts in time while she was alive, and wish her family well and condolences. My Mayor's Walk, it's not this weekend, it's next weekend. Just want to mention that. Make sure that nobody confuses, since I always confuse the day after our town meetings, or the Saturday after our town meetings, as being part of it. Some of the future things to look forward this month, before our next work session and meeting, Farmers Market will be coming. What's the first date for that? The 21st for the Farmers Market. And our newsletter should be released this week sometime, so be expecting that in your mailbox. There will be some surveys in there about our trash collection, as we were talking today, so please be aware of that. There will be a QR code or even our URL if you guys want to go online and take that survey. That'd be great. And last but not least, dear to my heart, and I'm sure to Joe's because of his his heredity, April is National Garlic Month. So enjoy your Italian food this month. And on that note, I'm done. Next line item.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank
Okay.
you. Good to see you, Olan.